Hi, hello, it's James and Watts. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. This is a long form knitting chat video. Haven't done this since September. Sorry, October. It was a busy month and I had other fun videos coming out in the meantime, but here we are. I have absolutely no plan for today's video. We're gonna wing it, but first, let me just say stop. If there's anything you could do to make this cozier for you, please do so. Do you need a beverage? Do you need a snack? Do you need to readjust your pillows or fix the temperature in the room? Maybe you just want to go take out the trash really quickly so that you're not thinking about it during this video. I'm just wanting to feel extra cozy, and I want you to feel extra cozy as well. So, as you can see, Christmas has arrived. I'm declaring it Christmas. It is November 1st, and the scary thing is that my decorations went up on October 30th, or maybe even 29th. No, I think it was 30th, so the day before Halloween, 2 days ago. And let me just be honest. I am not okay, I love Christmas. I love the holidays. Like, I'm all for it. I love a cozy Christmas vibe. But I'm generally not someone who decorates or takes any time to do that for myself. I like going to other people's houses who decorate, and I like my mom decorates nicely. My sister decorates really beautifully. So I go home and see their places. But I've decorated this year, and I have to say I do love having Christmas decorations up, and I'm glad I got them up early. I will have them until February 1st, I think is going to be teardown day. So it's a lot of work to put all this up. So 3 solid months, a quarter of the year to enjoy the holiday spirit. But let me just tell you how we got here, because as I said, I'm not a typical decorator. I'm lazy. I had my family here last week, and it was like the last day of their trip, and in that morning I got a text from Jessie May, and sometimes she just gets possessed by the spirit of chaos and latches onto me, and I love it. Like, generally, for my friends, it's a great way to interact with me, and a great way to get me to do something is to approach me in a chaotic way. Like, if you have a crazy idea to go do something and you want to leave in 10 minutes, I actually respond pretty well to that, especially from someone who doesn't do that all the time. Like, my baseline is pretty low key, and I think a lot of my friends match that energy. And it's not every day that I get a chaos text from Jessie. So I got this chaos text this morning that was like, when are you decorating for Christmas? And I was like, probably never. Why? And she was like, how about tomorrow? And I was like, the only way I'm gonna decorate for Christmas is if you go with me to buy what I need and you help me set it up. And she was like, done, we're going tomorrow. And I was just like, okay, I guess I'm decorating for Christmas before Halloween. And that's what we did. We met up, had lunch at Potbelly, which I have not had a Potbelly sandwich since high school. But one of my friends had asked me the other day when the last time I had it was, and I said not in over 10 years. And she was like, you need to have Potbelly, it's really good. So I've been wanting to have it, and I did. I got a pizza sandwich, because what I really love is a meatball sub, but I often get nervous. Sorry about all the noise. It sounds like there's construction or maybe trash being taken out. My whole neighborhood is actually filled with construction right now. It's annoying as hell. I never actually want to order. Oh my God. I could close that window. Whatever. I'm just going to pray that it stops soon. A Christmas prayer. I never actually want to order a meatball sub. I don't know why. I'm always scared it's gonna be too messy, or I also feel like I'm gonna be sad that I don't have a more traditional sandwich experience. I'm like, I want some kind of cold cut on a sandwich. But they had something called a pizza sub, which had like chopped up meatball and pepperoni slices and cheese. So it felt more like a regular sandwich, but also a meatball sub. And that was really good. I enjoyed my Potbelly. They had Diet Dr. Pepper on the soda fountain, carbonation, and the syrup was hitting. It was right. Speaking of drinks and making yourself cozy, what I would really love is like a warm bev because it's cold outside, but I already had my morning coffee. I was not gonna wait to record this video to have my coffee unless I was gonna record this video right after waking up, which obviously I was not gonna do. And I'm a one coffee a day girly almost every day. Very rarely do I do any more than that. And this is the Coke Zero Oreo flavor, which I've been looking for weeks. Finally, I found it at my Mariano's. They only had a 6-pack of the minis. And I've been hearing from everyone who's tried this that it tastes exactly like an Oreo and it is really freaking good. And I have to say, they weren't lying. It tastes exactly like an Oreo and it is so good. Yum. Here's what the can looks like. Can you see it? That's really tasty. I love it. I hope they don't get rid of it. They probably will. It seems kind of like limited edition to me. Oh my God, the construction is so dramatic. I'm sure you can hear it a little bit in the background, but I think wearing my lavalier mic does help with that a bit. Like definitely you'll be able to hear my voice, but probably still a little bit of all that nonsense in the background. Anyway, Jesse and I met up for Potbelly, which was right next to a Home Goods, and we did Home Goods, Joanne, the Dollar Tree or Dollar General, one of the dollar stores, and Home Depot. Home Goods had so much cute stuff, and I bet today, November 1st, they probably have double what they had 2 days ago out for Christmas. I definitely want to go back and just find a couple more pieces. Like all that stuff was so beautiful and it was pretty inexpensive for like how nice it looked. Like I got this like fantasy looking, like fur trimmed, like so like ornamented and pretty, this Santa doll with a like magic looking staff. He looks like a Santa wizard. I think he was only $20 at Home Goods, and honestly, if it had said $35 or $40, I would not have bought it, but I would be like, yeah, that makes sense. It looks like it cost $40. These little trees were all like $1.25 at the Dollar Tree. They do shed glitter like nothing else. My tree was Home Depot, $50 pre-lit, but I did add one strand for extra. All my ornaments were Dollar Tree. You can't see, but I have a star on top. It's really pretty, but I didn't want to make the framing too high. I mean, it's like very basic, but it like has a vintagey vibe that also goes well with the medieval-y vibe of my apartment. This ceramic light up tree was $5 at the Dollar Tree. I got this peppermint bark candle for Home Goods, from Home Goods, and it has a wood wick. Okay, I don't know if you could hear the wood wick. It's really soft, but I tried to do ASMR by the mic. Probably burnt my mic. I still have my Halloween decor, which is this pumpkin, which is really cute. My mom got me this. My mom had come to visit in like September, and I was telling her how I like want to decorate for Halloween, but I don't want to spend the money or waste the space. And then she, of course, was like, she sent me this, which is really cute. I think she got it off Amazon probably. My mom loves Halloween. She's a big Halloween decorator. We always have like all those skeletons in the front yard and like vignettes and stuff. And then my bigger group of my family, my mom, my dad, my sister, and my sister's wife came last week. Really, they were here this week still. They left on Wednesday. And my mom brought me this ornament that she made. My mom loves to do felt ornaments with, like, all by hand with embroidery and applique. She does really beautiful Christmas ornaments as well. And now that I have a tree, I'm gonna have to have her send me like 2 or 3 of her Christmas ornaments. She always does. Sorry, let me sit down. She always does like the blanket stitch on the outside, little embroidery and like some French knots, some applique, like flowers, and then often there's beading embroidered in as well, which I love. The Halloween ornament doesn't have any beads, but usually her Christmas ornaments do have beads. A few years ago, she taught me how to make them, and I made a couple of those ornaments with her. Probably the one that I made goes on our tree at home. But I love them. They're like folk art, kind of a style that I really think is beautiful. But it was disrespectful to my Halloween decorations to not let them even make it to their holiday before putting up Christmas. But I had to, like, the Jessie May chaos train doesn't come often. So when it comes, you gotta jump on and enjoy the ride. What else? Yeah, I am happy she made me decorate though, because I would have never done it. And I'm like feeling happy and content just sitting in this room the past few days. And these lights are not going off. They're staying on for 3 solid months, and please don't break or burn out. Anything else to say for Christmas? I will go home to Houston for Christmas just for a week. I just booked my flight yesterday, but that'll be fun. I'll be back here for New Year's. I never do anything for New Year's, and that's fine. I don't really care. You know what I do now these days is I go to bed by 10 p.m., so I don't really want to stay up till midnight in public. I would like some stockings, and of course it would be really cute to do some hand knit stockings. And then I'm like, dang, I should have designed a stocking pattern and come out with a pattern for that. I mean, I still could, but if I really wanted that to be a viable Christmas pattern, I would need to do that like right now. And I don't know, I might have enough yarn to do like a scrappy style one that could be fun, but I'm not gonna put any pressure on myself to do that. I have other ideas I'd rather put energy into at the moment for knitting. But maybe if y'all have any stocking patterns that you loved, let me know. I also, this sounds like the exact kind of thing that I don't like to knit. But I don't know, I might be willing to try it. If you have some Christmas ornament patterns that you really love, let me know those recommendations as well. I know there are like entire, I feel like people have come out with entire books of those Christmas ball patterns, which are usually like color work. But the reason I say it's like the kind of thing I don't like to knit is like anything that is like 3-dimensional, like a stuffed animal, and things that are stuffed like that are usually at a really tight gauge. So it's like tight gauge with like often fiddly and small numbers of stitches to start and finish, like doing a little circular cast on of like 4 stitches with really tiny needles and really tiny yarn and a tight gauge, and then immediately having to do like increases and the shaping. I don't know. I made one stuffed animal, which was if you were following me on Instagram a few years ago and following my friends, we made a whole thing of it. It was the pattern rats. It's literally rats with an exclamation point. So I always say rats. We all did those rats. We had an informal rat along. We like invited anyone who wanted to knit a rat with us to get this pattern and knit the rat with us. And it's a really good pattern. I think the person who designed that does maybe only stuffed animal patterns, and they are like excellent. Like that is a really big brain type of design to come up with three-dimensional stuff that is so true to form and true to life. Like it really looked like such a cute little rat. It had such a nice and natural shape. But I did not enjoy knitting that. I would not want to knit it again. But I might have to knit it again because I had to throw it out in the great mothening of moving to Chicago and opening my storage boxes that had sat as a moth buffet in Tallahassee for 2 years. That was sad. I had knit that rat out of leftover Noro, and the colors were so pretty. Mad. Can someone knit me a rat, please? Deadass. If you have any like pretty colors of Noro laying around and you would be willing to knit me a rat and send it to me, please let me know. I would love a rat. Okay, so yeah, pattern recommendations for stockings and Christmas ornaments. Let's move on to, I don't know, there's so many fun things I could talk about. Before I lose you, let me talk a little bit more about, well, let me talk about what I'm wearing. I'm wearing my Beads of Joy top that I designed. It's one of my modular join as you go Noro patterns that I love to design. I love to knit. It's it's a niche that I think I'm known for, and I'm really happy to occupy that niche. And I'll just come out and say it. I think I nodded to this many times on Instagram in a cheeky way, but I never said it explicitly for fear of alienating potential customers. And I may alienate potential fans, friends, customers in this video by saying it explicitly. But naming this top Beads of Joy is a direct reference to the fact that the strands of beads look kind of like anal beads. Some people caught on to that immediately and were commenting like, is this anal beads? And I would probably reply with like a winky emoji rather than say yes it is. But also because it's not actually nice imagery, and it was not designed explicitly. Like I didn't wake up and say I want to knit a sweater that looks like anal beads. But here we are, and I'd be lying if I said it didn't kind of look like anal beads, okay? So if that bothers you so deeply to your core that you hate me now, then whatever. Then my true self, my true, honest, real self living in the real, present, truth, honest moment is not for you, and we should go our separate ways. So this is my anal bead sweater, and I really don't wear it a lot. And a couple weeks ago, I was going to my recorder group. I play recorder, right? And I am in the Chicago chapter of the American Recorder Society. This is my first time living in a city that has a local chapter of the American Recorder Society, and that's really exciting for me. So we have monthly meetings where I get to go play all of my recorders, from my little soprano all the way to my big bass recorder. But the weather just was like that perfect cool fall temperature without being too cold, almost warm, not hot. And I was like, this is knitted tee weather, so let me pull out a knitted tee. And also I was like, I'm going to recorder group. Like, it's a great place to wear a little bit more of an eccentric top. And I wore it all day and I got a million compliments. And by a million, I mean probably 4. But that was kind of a lot of compliments to get. Especially, I think I got 1 compliment at Recorder Club. And then in the evening, I like stepped out of my house just to like, there's a Subway right next to my apartment. I think I stepped out. I had done a mobile order on the app. So I literally left my house, walked to Subway, picked up my sandwich, and went home. And I got 3 compliments on this sweater in the 5 minutes I was out of the house. And I was like, okay, obviously I need to be wearing my anal bead sweater all the time. I mean, I do love it. The colors are beautiful. I wish it were just a little longer for me. This was in my transition era. I feel like my designs went from super cropped to now I like knit everything really long, and this is somewhere in between. Like some of my crop tops, if I don't want to have bare midriff out, I have to wear like super high-waisted pants. This is not one of those. I could pretty much wear these with regular pants. I mean, I am wearing kind of high-waisted pants today, so I'm not even going to stand up to show you where these hit. But this sweater is probably like 21 inches long, I'd say, maybe 20. And I like my sweaters to be like between 23 and 20, even like up to like 26 inches long from shoulder to hem. It's more my speed right now. So yeah, everyone knit an anal bead sweater or any of my other modular tops. They're all really cool and fun. You know what really inspired me to pick this up too is I saw someone, I wish I knew his name or handle because then I would point you to him, but I didn't take note of it. It was just something I saw in passing on Instagram, but I saw someone wearing this to Rhinebeck and I loved his colors and I just loved his styling and it looked great on him and I was like, oh my God, why am I not wearing that? It's so cool and cute. It's been a while since I've come out with a modular pattern. My last one was Penta pillar pullover, which is such a cool pattern also. I would love to see more Penta pillar pullovers out in the world, especially the checkerboard version. Like, I give myself props for that because it's a great way to knit a checkerboard and it's not very hard. The alternatives are to either do a ton of seaming or to do intarsia. Or, I mean, I guess you could knit stranded color work. And I know there are techniques for stranded color work for like really, really long floats, but you don't really want to do that. It wastes a lot of yarn. It's a lot of work to do that. And also on my checkerboard version, I did Noro for one color and mohair for the other color. So you don't want to be stranding yarns behind your mohair. You want your mohair to look glossy and see-through. But anyway, why was I talking about that? Oh, that was my last modular pattern, and I think that came out probably in like maybe May or June or something. Yeah, like May. That sounds right to me. And maybe it was March. I don't know. I'm working on a new modular pattern, and to be honest, I'm like having doubts about it. Just in general a little bit, I've lately been feeling a little doubtful about like my work and my designs, and it's so nasty to like have that feeling, but definitely I think it's just like I've been go for months now ever since moving, and I'm starting to like crash a little bit. I'm by nature a depressive, solitary, isolated, little bit blue, sad creature. Always have been, always will be. So like anytime that I'm feeling really good, I know I'm like, there is a darkness on the other side that's waiting for me. But overall, I would say as my life has gone on, I feel like I've come more into my own and I feel more good than I do bad. But anyway, I still do think at my core I have a bit of a depressive baseline that awaits. So a little bit, I feel like I've had a ton of energy. I've gotten a lot done. And now is just my natural time of like slowing down and feeling a little bit sad and reflective. And with that kind of just can come feelings of like a little bit of self-doubt or insecurity in anything in my life, right? So of course that can extend to my designs. It's also been very like slow. This year overall has been slower for sales than years past, and it's hard not to take that personally, but then I do talk to my friends and I also get a sense in the industry that things have just slowed down a little bit for everyone, it seems like. So I try not to take it personally, but at the same time, if I'm already kind of in that headspace, it's hard not to. So yeah, some days I wake up and I'm like, oh my God, I'm a horrible designer and nobody likes me and what's about my patterns, so I should just stop designing. I know that's not true. I'm just being really candid. So please don't like cry or feel extremely worried for me. These are just normal feelings that are okay to have. But yeah, I'm working on this new modular design, and actually I think the concept is excellent. I think it's really cool. The part I'm having doubts with on this is my like yarn choice, and I also think I'm feeling lazy about like sitting in front of a computer on a really complicated design and like figuring out all the numbers, and this is a little bit more of a complicated design for sure. So let me show you what I've got so far. I don't know what to call this center motif. Is this considered a log cabin patch, like on a quilt? I don't know. But it's like a central square with 4 rectangles on the border. Sorry, this is probably hard to see unblocked. So ignoring this triangle that I'm holding here, it's like a center square and 4 rectangles, the same shape that makes up the entire body panel of Mystic Square. I love this motif, and I think it's a really great modular motif. And then this is actually going to sit like a diamond, and then I'm gonna have all these triangular pieces to make a square. Let me just show you the sketch of this, and then I'll talk about like where my doubt is coming in a little bit on this. Let me also, while I'm up, make sure I didn't like run out of space. Thank God it's still recording. Okay, here is the sketch for this, so you can get an idea. Really cool concept, love the idea, love the concept. It's definitely something that I want to do. I'm probably going to stand up again in a second and show you another sketch. But let me just show you the other sketch now. Here was the original design I had in mind for this yarn. This is spin cycle yarn in 2 colors. And I chose 2 colors that like are for spin cycle, you know, they do color changing yarns. And I've never worked with spin cycle, and it's very special. It's expensive yarn. I approached them and asked for the yarn support for the design, and they were happy to support me, which I love to collab. Like they made it very easy. But at the same time, I do feel a pressure because I'm like, this is a really beautiful and beloved yarn, and it was expensive, and it was sent to me, so I like really want to do something special with it and knock it out of the park and make something visually stunning. So here was my original design idea, which I do think is a cool design. It's this here. So it would be like a 25 tile patchwork sweater with stripes where every tile is knit the other direction. So you have like horizontal and vertical stripes back and forth tiling across the sweater. And I think that would be visually like, whoa, like really impactful, really cool. And the reason I chose these 2 yarns is because the striping and the change of direction of the striping being so frequent makes it already a visually interesting and busy pattern. So I was like, I don't need the colors to be changing like super fast and like with a million colors. So I got two colors that are more like solid and just have subtle gradations in the within the skeins. And so I had started just like working on how this was going to be knit, and this was also going to be modular and like join as you go. And I know it's absolutely possible to do this sweater in the modular join as you go style. But the more I thought about the reality of all of the variables and elements that was going on, it just felt like it was going to be a nightmare to design, a nightmare to grade, and a nightmare to write, and a nightmare to knit. It just felt like even though it's so simple, it's just squares. I won't get into exactly what about it made me feel that way, and also I think I would have a hard time articulating it right now, but it just didn't seem like a lot of my modular designs, even the ones that like, I don't know, maybe to someone else look like more complicated, I often can like sit down and like conceptualize of them and have a written pattern by the end of the day if I really like know what I want and I'm motivated and go go go. This just was not going to go like that. I knew it was going to be a big headache for a number of reasons. So I was like, okay, I don't even want to like go forward with that anymore. And I had this other sketch that I came up with, which is also a difficult design to do. A lot of my other modular designs deal with like more vertical or horizontal pieces. Even like this, it does have like these waves, but it's still panels of knitting that are both being knit vertically, and that's really a simple thing to do in this type of design. But this concept that I'm working on that I actually started knitting has knitting in all directions, and then it also has diagonals, right? So the only other pattern that I've done that has that kind of element is Sun Gazer, and that was a difficult pattern to grade. That pattern only has 4 sizes because the numbers were so wild. It's still size inclusive because the sizes still take up a huge range of sizes. They go from like a really small to really big. But with most of my patterns, there's 9 sizes. And at this one, I just said like, no, it's just gonna have a bigger range of ease because the top is just a rectangle, and what makes it a special and interesting pattern is not the fit. The fit is really basic and like nothing special at all. So I was like, this is like a wearable piece of art, and what's special is the modular geometric shapes and colors. So I felt good about that decision. But that pattern has diagonals all over the place, and I remember that's one of the things that made it difficult. That's also something in a modular join as you go pattern that can be difficult with the tension and with the way the technique performs. It can sometimes look a little bit messy, and that was the other thing that's making me doubt this design choice, just because the Noro that I normally use for these designs is really fuzzy and textural, and it's great for this technique because it obscures what's really going on in the technique. It obscures the picked up stitches and the decreases that make the joining as you go happen. And it just gives you what looks like a really cohesive fabric. The higher stitch definition yarn you're using, the more you can really see every little element of the construction. And these spin cycle yarns are like a worsted spun yarn, so they are more high stitch definition. And I mean, I think what I'm doing so far looks really pretty. I don't think it looks messy. I don't think it looks like crap. But I do just think that Noro and these diagonals would just look that much more cohesive. So, I don't know. Obviously, I have this yarn. I'm gonna do something with it, and I'm sure I'll come up with something that I really love and that's really cool. And I might end up doing this, I might not. My instinct is that I would like to do this design with Noro and with more colorful yarn. And I absolutely think Spin Cycle could be beautiful in this, and I think it would be beautiful in the colors that I have. But if I had started with this concept in mind, I might have used only one color instead of two, and I would have picked one of their colorways that has a lot more colors in it. They have some colorways that have like, I feel like they shift through like 8 different bright colors, you know? So much more of like an exciting gradient happening. But I at least want to finish the 4 triangles on this outer border so that we have a diamond within a square. And then I might block it and see what I think. If I block it and I love it and it's also blocking out nicely, then maybe I keep going and I finish this design. The other thing that I actually was just kind of thinking of this morning or last night for the first time as a potential solution, because I do love the original concept I had of all of these striped squares. And I don't know, maybe y'all are gonna hear this and hate this idea and it's something you would never ever knit. But I was like, why? Like, it does not need to be join as you go. Anything that is dealing with like a bunch of pieces or patches, I would still consider a modular pattern. So I would do this. I would do the striped square tile sweater, but just knit all the patches separately and seam them together. I don't mind seaming, honestly. And I think a pattern like that is really fun in a way because you can get started with it and just know like this is a long haul project for me. It's like a blanket. Like it's something that you say, I'm gonna knit and seam 1 square every day, and maybe it only takes you like 20 or 30 minutes of work, and you do that every day, and you take your time. You take 2 to 3 months before finishing your sweater. So that's where I'm at right now. I think if I'm gonna keep working on what I have going on, and if I decide I love it, great. If I decide to abandon it, then I might do a real pieced patchwork pattern that you have to seam. I mean, it would be more seaming than anything I've ever designed before, but that doesn't actually intimidate me. I really don't mind seaming. And seaming looks really clean, honestly. Mattress stitch does. You would be seaming, because the tiles are always turning directions, you would be seaming stitches, like stitch edges to row edges, and that's kind of annoying because it's not as mindless like as row to row or stitch to stitch, just because the rates are a little bit different, but I would figure it out. It'd be fine. Thanks for letting me rant about this design and my life and my depression. It's one of the nice reasons of making these videos is I just get to talk through my thoughts that maybe these are staying inside my head and now they're out for whoever wants to listen to them. Do I have any other fun sketches to show? This was one that I colored, and this would be a pretty easy design, I think, to do, but my sketch is so ugly. I think this could be a cool or beautiful design. I just don't like the way it looks with my very elementary looking coloring that I did with crayons. I also would love to do, just like Mystic Square, just like the center motif of the log cabin patch or whatever you want to call it. I want to do a sweater because Mystic Square only comes in like, there's no length adjustments. I mean, you can adjust it if you know how and like figure that out. But in the pattern, there's no length adjustments, and it would be difficult to adjust the pattern by a lot lengthwise. And that was definitely from my crop top era. So I would love to do another type of Mystic Square pattern like this, where it's full sweater length and you just have you have one more round of the rectangle tiles around the outer layer, so you have more pieces. Let me know, like, if I ever talk about a concept and you're like, oh my God, I would kill to have that pattern written so I could knit it, let me know, because for one, I love a compliment and it makes me feel good, but also I would take that feedback seriously if there was a lot of interest in something I'm talking about. Okay. I can be done talking about that. That is the main like new design I have to show. I'm also knitting a vanilla sock. This is out of an alpaca. Oh, it's really soft. Alpaca nylon blend yarn, sock yarn that I got from Wisconsin Sheep and Wool, from a really small alpaca producer. I don't remember the name of the guy. I know I talked about this in my last video though, so if you really want to know, go look at the last video when I'm talking about my haul of Wisconsin Sheep and Wool stuff. But also don't bother, because I don't really feel like he had an online shop presence that I could find. So maybe you just got to catch him at a show. But I mean, I'm showing this like it's really something interesting to look at, and it's not. I mean, maybe it is. It's just really soft and warm, and I know I'm gonna love it when it's done. This is the third time I'm starting this sock though. It's only a 2-ply yarn, but it's definitely more on like the sport weight side of things, and because it's alpaca, it has a definite halo to it. So I'm knitting on zeros, but just when I'm naturally knitting this, I like want to knit really loose because I feel like that tension accommodates the yarn. So I had started this, and I knew that was going to happen, so I used a slightly lower stitch count. I think I would normally do 64 stitches, and I went down to like 56. But once I got a couple inches past the toe, I was like, this looks gigantic. Like, there's no way. And I was hanging out with Jessie, and she said the same thing. She was like, you need to start over. And I was like, I really don't want to start over. And she didn't have anything to knit. And we were just sitting at a coffee shop, and she was like, do you want me to do it? And I was like, please, please do it. That's the other thing, that when Jessie offers to do some of your knitting for you, you better say yes. Because if it's her idea, great. But if I ever have a part of a design that I really don't want to do, and I'm like, even if she's sitting there doing nothing, and I'm like, will you please knit this? That is a risky game. Because usually, if it's not her idea, the answer is no. But sometimes she's feeling benevolent and bored, and she'll want to do your knitting for you. So she started, this is my second time, she started for me. We like talked through and changed all the things. We like started with a different stitch count for the toe, and we had intended a different stitch count for the finished like circumference for the maximum stitch count for the foot. I think we were gonna do like 46 or something, and she went through it. She finished the toe while we were sitting there, and it was like a thumb sock. Like it would fit like 2 of my fingers in it. It was so small. She was like, I generally think of her as also being a looser knitter, but she was really tight on these small needles with this yarn. She was having no problem getting like a more normal sock gauge. So we were like, okay, this is too small now. And she had told me like to just go a few inches and try it. And I was like, I don't know, maybe. And I took it home, I left it on a table and forgot about it for a week. And then one day when I was running my Roomba ate it up and ran around the house holding this sock. Surprisingly, props to this alpaca yarn. The yarn did not break. But it was just kind of all tangled up, and I had to untangle it, and it was looking a little bit ratty, and I was like, I'm pulling this out. I was going to start over anyway, and now the Roomba attacked it. So that's a great sign to start over. So I ripped it out and didn't knit it for like a month, and just the day before my family was coming in, because I had started on this, but I was like, this has too much going on. I don't want to like take this on the go. I'm also just working from like very crude handwritten notes on what to do for my size. So I was like, I'm not knitting that in public. Let me start a sock that I can take for when we're, chilling on vacation. And I think, and with my tension, I think I went up to 46 stitches, I want to say, maybe 52. I think it's 46 or 48. And I haven't tried it on, but it looks right to me. It looks like it's going to be a really nice fit. Yeah, this is my other knitting. I've talked about this on the channel before, I think, but I've had the idea for a while. Ever since I saw the Dune movies, I've wanted to do, in general, I've wanted to do more fantasy-inspired knits and a little bit more costumey knits. But I've had the idea to do like a chainmail coif. Chainmail coif. Why do I feel like I said like chainmail? Chainmail coif balaclava. That's a mouthful. And I don't know exactly what stitch I want to use, but some kind of like meshy chainmail-y looking stitch. And I ordered yarn for that from, I was just like Googling like silver yarn. And I found I think it's 50/50 merino silk, and it's like really shiny. And I ordered it like, at this point, 3 weeks ago, probably. And it still has not been shipped. And I don't like to be like a Karen harassing a small business owner. So I've not followed up. But I did just check the dyer's Instagram yesterday just to see if they had any posts about like orders or business related stuff, or just to see if they were active. And they're posting yarns every day. Just not dyeing my single skein order. I do think that the website had a ready to ship order, and I think the yarn I ordered was not ready to ship. I do think it was like a pre-order yarn. But there was definitely a shipping window that I think we're still in, but we're probably approaching the cutoff for that. And so I'll wait till then. If it has not shipped by when it said it could be, then I'll email and just check in, or even send a DM on Instagram, whatever. But yeah, oh my God, if I owned a yarn business, that sounds stressful, and I would hate to be getting messages that are like, where's my yarn? Let's extend a little grace to small business owners, okay? But I want to get that yarn because I'm excited about the idea. I want to knit my chainmail coif. Really, that would have been a great pattern to come out October 1st for anyone who wanted to incorporate it into a Halloween costume. But whatever, I'll get it out when I get it out, and you'll knit it, please. So, anything else? I have had a hat. I've been struck by divine inspiration for a Noro hat pattern. It's gonna kind of look like one of those Victorian sleeping caps, like a long little, you know what I'm talking about, right? The like cone-shaped long hats. I really want to do one of those in Noro. So that's something, after this video, I'm probably going to go look at Noro yarn online and get some. Any other knitting? I had 2 patterns come out. Actually, I think I had 3 patterns come out in October, which is too many. I had my worsted basic drop sleeve sweater that my mom modeled. I am actually working on one very slowly out of my handspun for my big handspun sweater project for myself. But if I had time, that's like the kind of pattern I would just knit for myself over and over and over again. I love worsted weight, I love 4 stitches per inch, and I love a basic sweater like that. So that came out, knit in Noro Silk Garden. My mom looks so beautiful in it. I loved photographing her. We had a lot of fun doing a photo shoot. That was when she came to visit me in September. We photographed that all around my neighborhood, and the pictures turned out really pretty. Then I had Antiphonal come out, which I've definitely shown and talked about, but I'll show it again. This is my first time using the Modular join as you go technique on an accessory. So the two halves of this shawl are knit separately and they're joined seamlessly down the spine. As you knit the second half, it's joined onto the first half. And the modular technique makes it really interesting and makes it so that you have a lot of room to play with color. And then it has this squiggle I-cord border, which is a technique I came up with. I mean, probably someone else has done it before, but for myself, I was just experimenting and came up with it years ago when I very first started to have any interest in original designs. That was something I tried out on a swatch, and then I never ever did anything with it. And finally I was like, I've got to put a squiggle I-cord on something. So I put it on the edging of this shawl, and I've done a very in-depth tutorial video. It's like a half-hour long tutorial video. If you're interested in learning that technique, but maybe you don't just want to knit this shawl, you just want to learn the technique, watch that video. I show you how to do it as a cast on, as a bind off, or even as an afterthought. Like if you just, like you could have a pair of socks, for example, that are already finished, and you want to add this either like to the top of the sock, or even, and like I show, you could do it in the middle of the body of a piece of knit fabric. You could have it in the middle of the leg of the sock in a contrast color. Please do that. It'd be so cute and so cool. There's like a million designs I could put that on that would be really cute and that I probably won't. So if people want to learn the technique and put it on themselves, I'm all for it. So yeah, the squiggle I-cord and the modular technique are the things that make this shawl special. And then the rest of it is just garter stitch, stripes, and a very basic type of like yarn over, which I called this section of the shawl demure holes, because I was designing and writing this pattern at the peak of very cutesy, very demure, very mindful. And I just think it's fun in a pattern like this to have a little nod to something like that. So these are demure holes. They're not too big, they're not too small. They are mindfully placed and knit and worn. Oh my God, I was about to put this on my shoulders and then I was like, it's gonna go over the candle and I'm gonna burn up on camera. So I just got too scared to put this on. It's called Antiphonal. Side note, are you subscribed to my newsletter? If not, why not? I barely send it. I send it like, I don't even send it one for every pattern that comes out. Like Antiphonal and then my next pattern came out a week apart and I was like, I'm not sending 2 newsletters. That's too much. So I explained in the newsletter the name Antiphonal. It's actually the only place I actually talked about that, but I will talk about it a little bit here. Antiphonal is a term I learned in my music major in college. Describes usually a religious, like liturgical, sacred music context where you have 2 choirs, often on 2 different sides of a cathedral or a chapel, singing back and forth in a call and response kind of way. So you get like a sonic effect of, if you ever listen to music with headphones where the music passes from one earbud to the other and you're like, whoa, it's like that. I remember like the first time hearing that effect on earbuds as like a kid listening to some song. I thought it was the coolest thing ever. But we've been doing that since forever. And it's like, in the Western classical music tradition, we often talk about antiphonal writing in like medieval sacred like chant music. But yeah, I think you understand why I was inspired by antiphonal music and that texture and technique to describe this shawl, which has 2 halves that are reflecting the same shapes but in different colors. So it's kind of a call and response going on that shawl. A week after I came out with Antiphonal, I came out with my Pixel tweed socks, which are the latest launch in a family of patterns. At some point, I should put them in an ebook if anyone wants to get a discount and buy all the Pixel tweed stuff. Because there's probably going to be 1 or 2 more Pixel tweed patterns, honestly, because I just really like the stitch. It's a great stitch. I love to mix up 3 colors that way. It's a slip stitch or a mosaic stitch, garter stitch, stitch pattern. And I don't have them because I made them for Park to model and then to keep. And we photographed them and I let her keep them. But I think I showed them in progress probably on the last podcast episode, I would hope. And something smells like, maybe I'm smelling the wood wick burning. Like I'm smelling something like toasty more than I'm smelling the candle. Like it smells like someone's making toast. Um, anyway, Pixel Tweed socks came out. I used the Grocery Girls Jody's yarn, Frankie Gray fibers, which is my first time using that yarn. I really liked it. I really like how many semi-solid colors she has. That's always something I look for. I love really colorful yarns, but most of the stuff I design, I don't have a place to use like speckly yarns. I do things that work better in solid colors or like slow gradients. So she has a ton of semi-solids to choose from. And she also put out kits with 50 gram skeins, which is perfect. Saves you a little bit of money because you don't need 300 grams of sock yarn to make these socks. 150 grams is enough. And yeah, check that out or check out any of the Pixel Tweed patterns. There's also Pixel Tweed beanie and Pixel Tweed pullover. At some point, I think I'd like to do a Pixel Tweed vest and potentially a Pixel Tweed cowl would also be really fun. But no idea when I'll get to any of that. Anything else? This is a big thing. As I've been talking about for months, ever since I first took my jewelry classes back in Zagreb, I've wanted to set up a home studio for jewelry making, and I finally just went for it and ordered everything I needed to get started, which was scary because it was a lot of stuff to order and have show up at my house and a lot to set up. But I'm now set up for silversmithing, and I was very nervous at first to remember my old skills and like how to work with all these tools and work with a torch. But I still got it, baby. I've made 3 rings and I'm mostly doing practice pieces right now and using them to hone my skills and give as gifts to friends. So I did a really dainty opal ring for Park, and then I did an aventurine, like a little greenstone ring for Park's boyfriend. And then I did, just yesterday, I had the idea to do an open ring where the ends of the rings have 2 cabochons, like smooth polished stones. And I have these chrysoprase, is that how you say it? It's one of my favorite stones, so I should know how to say it. I have these chrysoprase cabochons, really dainty little ones. And I made a chrysoprase double cabochon ring. It's the only thing I have here that I can show you because I've already given away the other finished rings that I had. But I sent a text to Jessie and Park showing them my new ring, and Jessie said that she would like one, and I said, okay, you can have this one. I was planning on making her something, and we were hanging out the other day, and I was asking her like about what she would like, and she didn't give me a definite answer. So I guess this was the right move to just wait until she saw that I made something that appealed to her. I'm happy for her to have it. I hope it fits. It's pretty small, but since it's open, it could be stretched or tightened a little bit. But let me show you. I don't know how well you can see this. I don't know if I'm too close for it to focus or not. But this was a challenging piece to make just because of the way the ring is open. When I was like trying to clamp the ring and close the bezel around the stones, I was just like totally deforming the ring so badly, and it got to the point where I was like, okay, I'm just gonna like pry open the ring and do whatever I need to do to get these bezels closed. and then with pliers reforming the ring into a nice shape. And yeah, it turned out quite nice. My plan is to keep experimenting. I have a few techniques that I have been studying on YouTube that I want to try out and learn and master and incorporate into some original designs. But I'm hoping before too long, and within a few months, that I have a small collection of finished pieces that I could launch and sell as the James and Watts jewelry brand. So if that's something you've been excited hearing me talk about, it is slowly becoming a reality, and I really hope people are excited by it and want to have a piece of jewelry that I made. I love jewelry, and this new craft and art form is very appealing to me. I love the time spent with just adjusting and perfecting one little piece, and the craft of like the object itself. My main job and creative outlet is knitwear design, which is so much about, the grading and the writing. It's about the pattern and the pattern working well for others. And I can't always write explicitly in full detail every little piece of knowledge I have about how I make my finished knitting function and look the way I like it to. I tried to do that, but you have to stop yourself at some point. I can't write 12 pages on the way I think we should approach I-cord tension, but sometimes I get close to doing that. So yeah, it's not about my sample and knitwear design. It's about the pattern. And it's nice to be working on something where it really is all about the finished piece of art. So yeah, it's all I want to do right now. I think about it all the time. I have a hard time falling asleep some nights because I can't stop thinking about ideas I want to try in silver. And that's a nice feeling, though. It's good to be excited about something. However, I do still need to be working on knitwear designs and other stuff. Here's an exciting piece of news that I don't think I had the last time I recorded, but I told you, if you watched the last video, that I had a horrible audition. But I had a second audition that I don't want to say I didn't care about it, but I had really lost steam because I put so much work and effort into the first audition, which went so poorly. Let me just make sure my phone is still recording, because I have been, yes it is. I've been really testing the waters with my storage capacity on this phone. It's because I've been doing a lot of YouTube, I've been doing a lot of long videos, and I always have to delete them once they're out on YouTube, so I free up the space. But I had kind of lost steam, and I didn't prepare as well for the second audition, but I kind of think that helped me in a way, just because mentally I wasn't so tied up in the amount of work I'd put in. I didn't feel the same amount of pressure. Also, that audition was just more low-key. There were not very many people auditioning at all. But I did win a spot with the Peoria Symphony. So if I have any viewers who are in Peoria, Illinois, and you would like to see a concert, please let me know. Leave a comment or something, because I don't know anyone in Peoria that I'm aware of, and I am offered, I think, 2 comp tickets for every performance I'll do. And we have about a concert every month. My first concert with them will be this month. We're doing Vivaldi Four Seasons, a Bach orchestral suite, and then another piece that I'm not familiar with. A couple other pieces. I am more than happy to leave comp tickets for anyone who wants them. So that's exciting. I honestly may tear up a little bit at rehearsal because I haven't played in an orchestra in like 2 years, and I love playing in an orchestra. It genuinely makes me happy. It's like one of my favorite forms of music making, and I can't wait to sit in a violin section again. Um, that's exciting. Um, I've been putting in a bit of effort into getting my name out there here in the city as a violinist. I might want to start teaching again soon, but I certainly want to be involved in like events and like playing weddings and stuff. Like I like doing that. It's easy money. Um, so I sent a few emails out yesterday to event companies and churches and stuff. That's what's on the violin front. What else? I haven't been reading too much the past week, but outside of that, I've been reading plenty. I finished Wheel of Time, round of applause for me, since recording my last video. That is 14 books and a prequel, and I read all of them. Um, I love Wheel of Time. There's part of me that could start over on book one right now, and I think it would hold my attention. Like, I don't know if I can make it through another full reread. Maybe not quite as fast. I read the whole series in about exactly like a year, I would say, which is pretty fast for 14 books. A lot of these books are really long. I love my Oreo Coke Zero. Um, the last book was so long. It was definitely, there were like weeks where I like didn't touch it because I was just like, oh my god, it was like super long chapters of like battle planning and like war scenes, which is not my favorite part of these books. But I'm really happy I watched the TV show to get me into the book, to get me into reading, and to get me into fantasy. So Brandon Sanderson had finished the last 3 books of Wheel of Time after Robert Jordan, the original author, passed away. And I think he finished them really nicely. It was definitely a shift in the writing style a little bit, but I totally enjoyed it. And people in the fantasy world really love Brandon Sanderson, so I decided to go straight into Mistborn series. I guess The Final Empire is the name of the first book in that series, by Brandon Sanderson. And I have to say, it isn't capturing me in the way that I thought it would, just from how enthusiastic people are about this author. It was feeling just slightly corny to me, um, and a little bit boring. So I read maybe 100 pages and then I decided to start something else. I'm still working on The Final Empire, and I do think there's going to probably be a moment where it shifts and it's like really high action and I really enjoy it and probably start reading more. I went ahead and downloaded the audiobook for that just to keep me in it. So like I have something I can put on in the car or at the gym. But I got a copy of The Wizard of Earthsea by Ursula K. Le Guin, who is a woman author, American woman author. I think she wrote that book around the mid 20th century, and I just like found it on a Reddit thread of like highly recommended fantasy um, series. And I'd heard of Earthsea before, but I didn't know anything about it. I do think she wrote it as like young adult fiction more. And the only way that I feel like that's reflected in it is that it's short. It's like it's like around 100 pages, maybe a little under 200, something between 1 and 200 pages. It's not very long at all. And I read it in probably about a week just before bed, and I loved it so much. If you're into fantasy, and you haven't read it, I highly recommend it. If you're out of reading a little bit and want something to get you back in, I recommend it just because it's so short. Um, it is so beautifully written. The prose is so like poetic and lyrical, and like it's such a classic high fantasy tale. Like it's just a wizard's tale, honestly, that I don't know. I was like tearing up in parts at just like how evocative the language was and how beautifully it was written, and just like feeling happy that I get to read something that I enjoy as much as I enjoyed that book. So it is a series. It's a series that she like came back to throughout her career. It's like 4 or 5 books, but I feel like she wrote the first 2 maybe within a few years of each other, and then like decades later was coming back to that series. So I haven't been in the mental space to start the next book. I keep trying and getting distracted. I think getting set up for jewelry has made it difficult to think about something new and to immerse myself in a world at bedtime. But yeah, still into reading. Don't mean to like crap on Mistborn. I'm sure I'll love it. I also, Sanderson has written a lot. And I plan on reading other Sanderson as well, because I feel like there are probably books of his that are going to be more for me, I think. I'm doing just a little bit of gaming, not too much. I broke out my 3DS that I actually never really played it much. I bought it and probably barely touched it, but I always kept it and actually hacked it. If anyone knows anything about like game systems, you can like, there's whole guides on like how to hack your 3DS so that you can customize it and get free games. Okay, enough on that. How are you? Was this a cozy watch? Did you take my instructions and get a beverage and settle in? What were you knitting while you watched? Are you gonna knit any of my patterns? How about a hat? Bi-stripe beanie? Honestly, I feel like there's a couple of shops that might sell the exact kit to make the same one I made, and I love that pattern just for my color choices. My color choices were so good for that. I always will preach the good word of color quadrant cap, which I will not be satisfied until at least 1,000 people have made it, which definitely 1,000 people have not made it, because it is an intarsia hat, knit flat and seamed. So I understand that people don't want to do that. However, it is so cool and stylish. I love that beanie. Highly recommend. We could throw it all the way back to the early days of Best Beret. I don't have a Best Beret anymore because they both got moth-ininged. Maybe I need to knit myself a new Best Beret. I did just see a new beret pattern though, not to promote a different beret, but I'm gonna promote a different beret. I wish I could tell you the name of the designer, but I don't want to get it wrong, so I'm not going to say anything. But it's a designer who I like and who I follow on Instagram. But she just came out with a beautiful beret that has a little bow tie on the top that I think is so cute. I bet if you go on Ravelry and look at berets, it's going to be one of the first ones on Hot right now, because it is newer and it is really cute. So yeah, if you hate Best Beret, go knit that one. Okay, I'll leave it at that. Happy knitting. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Love you. Bye.